And I'll go ahead and start on the closed captioning also. I have to do that now, even though I don't think it can pick up what I'm saying, but I'll do it anyway. Don't forget the site that the web page that Miss Hart brought up. That's not it. Shoot. I wish this computers had the boards so you could pick what you save. Let me go and find it right quick, and I'll copy it and bring it over. Hold on just a minute, because I do have some people that's added, and I need to go ahead and, so just hold on a second, and I'll pull that over right quick. There it is. I'm going to pull over the website page or the web address that should be used to get onto MyLabs Plus, because nobody's having very good luck with Blackboard, not just this class, but they say that Blackboard has crashed like 7 or 8 times, so I don't know. Has anybody had any experience with it this semester?
Yeah, it's been like down every time I try to do my physics class.
Okay, so
I just chalked it up to every single student on any campus trying to log in at the same time. So I was just gonna check later.
All right. Well, there's the website that you can log on to MyLabs Plus. I don't know if anybody's joining today. I do know that I'm picking up students. My attendance numbers are going back and forth. I will have 29 today, then I'll have 28, then I'll have 31. So I continue to send out the email until tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day of drop ad for session A. So after tomorrow, I won't have to worry about it, but I need to keep sending that email out because, make sure everybody gets the information. So is there anything else? I've covered the Microsoft Edge. I've covered the eText. Why you're having problems is because it doesn't interact good with Google. I went on to Mozilla Firefox, and I'm just going to pull up the interactive ebook. And I haven't been able to pull it up today in Chrome, so I just switched before this class, and I'm hitting ebook right here. Oh, can y'all see my, hold on. Can y'all see my screen?
We did a second ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm looking to see if it's going to pull up. I don't know if it's going to pull up or not. I'm going to check to make sure I'm sharing because I don't want to. There we go. Well, it's not coming up yet, but they're working on it. I sent 2 emails this morning about the eText. I don't know why it's not coming up. But
the eText was working in Chrome for me, but I had to download some kind of something to go with it. I can't remember what it was called, but it popped up for me to download. Yeah, that.
Was it Wolfram CDF Player?
That was it. I had to download that to make it work for Chrome, and it works fine for me for Chrome.
It's been working okay for me on my personal computer, and I'm literally looking at the eText as we speak through Firefox, so it hasn't been giving me personally any issues.
Let me look right there right quick, because I was getting most of the complaints from the 110 and the 120 class. So let me pull this up right quick and see, and that'll take care of that issue if somebody has that issue. Ebook and eText.
Now the static one didn't require any kind of download. It was only the interactive one.
Oh yeah, because you have the Wolfram in it. Yes. Yeah, it looks like it's going to work okay. At least it should. Okay, well, y'all keep working with it and let me know. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I don't want to take a lot of time in class because, we got so much to cover in the 2 review sections. I need to go ahead and get started because I don't know how much everybody can remember. I don't know how long it's been since you've had algebra course or whatever. So I'm just going to start with the stuff that's most important, And I'm not going to wait on this because this is just going to take, yeah, it's coming up. Because you see these 3 lines right here, that's the table of contents. So that's the page number. So it's coming up, it's just taking forever. Okay, what I would like to ask everybody to do right now, even though I don't get to see your beautiful faces, go ahead and cut your video off. I'm going to cut mine off. That way it'll help with the lag. So I'm going to turn my camera off, and I ask that you do the same. Then that way all you will see is the basically the document cam. And I'm going to go ahead and start with just some basic things that hopefully y'all haven't forgotten. All right. Does anybody have any questions up to this point right now? Because I want to make sure any of the logistic questions is taken care of before I start. Any questions?
None from me.
Go ahead. What? Any questions?
I said none from me.
Okay. All right. So, as you know, there's many different parts of algebra. We'll start with, I'm going to go through this kind of a blanket. We know we have terms. We know that the terms are made of coefficient and a variable. And that one's dead. I try to throw away my dead ones, but evidently some seep through. Variable. And that would be like 2x. That is a term. And then we have several terms make up a polynomial. And most of y'all know that. 2x plus 6 and 3x squared plus 2x plus 3. And that's a polynomial. And then we move over and we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide polynomials. And most of you know how to do that. And then you hold your pinky up and you do f plus g of x, which is the same as plus. And then you have f minus g of x, which is the same as minus. Then you have f times g of x, which is the same as multiplication. And then you have f divided by g of x, which is the same as division. So I'm going to take an example right quick, and I'm just going to show you that let's do minus 2x plus 3 minus x minus 1. And this is old school. You distribute the negative, and you get 2x plus 3 minus x plus 1, and that gives you x plus 4. All right, down here, you got f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. G of x is equal to x minus 1, and they want you to find, f minus g of x. And that is 2x plus 3 minus x minus 1. And of course, you know, you hold your pinky up when you do functions. You don't hold your pinky up when you do polynomials. All right, that is kind of a review of polynomials and functions. These are functions. Now, there's a little bit more to both, and I'm going to go into that next. I've got an hour and a half, and what I'm trying to do in an hour and a half is I'm trying to get as much as I can in an hour and a half. So I'm just going to try to bounce and try to do as much as I can in an hour and a half. With polynomials, we left out the FOIL method. We left out factoring, and we left out the shortcuts. Okay, I showed you that we had addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But with multiplication, you've got the FOIL method and you've got the shortcuts. With division, you've got factoring and you've got the shortcuts. So there's an extension of multiplication and division with the polynomials, and they're called FOIL method and the shortcuts, and factoring in the shortcuts. So let's just kind of jump into that right quick to knock your cobwebs loose. With the FOIL method, you have two binomials. You can use the FOIL method, which is a quick distributive law. Okay? You can use the distributive law with any polynomial multiplied by any polynomial. But the FOIL method is just a quick little thing to remember to do two binomials. And you got x plus 2 times x minus 3. And you do first outside, inside, and last, 2 times -3. Okay? And that's going to give you x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. And what happens to the middle two terms? What happens to the O and the I? They usually what? Combine. And that gives you x squared minus x minus 6. That is called the FOIL method. Now, again, I know that I'm preaching to the choir. I know that there's a lot of you that, didn't invent the FOIL method, but you can do it in your sleep, and I realize that. But I also realize that there may be some students in here that may have had Algebra 2 or Pre-Cal maybe 6 years ago or 5 years ago. Does anybody want to volunteer how long it's been since you've had Algebra 2 or Pre-Cal?
1 exact year.
1 year. Anybody else?
2013 for algebra for me.
See? Okay, so there are people.
Last semester, so.
Okay. I tell you what, type it in. Type in, since it's a whole lot easier to type it in than to try to talk over each other. Everybody type in how long it's been since you've had either Algebra 2, or Pre-Cal. Look at there. 11 years, 4 years, 3 years, 13 years. So y'all didn't invent Pre-Cal y'all didn't invent it. Y'all are rusty. If it's been more than 2 years, you're rusty. Okay? So, Miss Sterling, you didn't put the other teacher you had. You just put me. Bad, Hubert. I shouldn't say that. Okay. So, x squared minus x minus 6, and that's how you use factoring. Look at there. Trig in the spring. Trig in algebra. Bless your heart, Miss Bailey. I only saw a couple of y'all that's had it in the last year. Maybe 2 or 3 that's had it in the last year. So y'all are in the minority.
I don't actually count it in the last year because I had it with Ward.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the FOIL method. That's how you multiply two binomials. Well, what about the shortcuts? Well, I'm going to write down the shortcuts because half of y'all probably don't remember the shortcuts. So here we go. A plus B, quantity squared, is equal to A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. A minus B, quantity squared, is equal to A squared minus 2AB plus B squared. A squared minus B squared is equal to a plus b times a minus b. A cubed plus b cubed is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. And a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And I guarantee you there's somebody out there going, huh? Okay, there's your shortcuts. Now, if you don't remember those, you better memorize them, because next to completing the square and rationalizing the denominator, if you don't know these, if you don't know how to do the reverse FOIL, I don't pronounce anything with OIL in it. There's a story behind it, so I don't do it. If you can't do the FOIL method, the reverse FOIL method, the shortcuts, or completing the square, let's just go ahead and fill out that drop slip right now. Okay, because you're going to be, and that's just the bare bones algebra. We still got vertical and horizontal shifts and compression and stuff like that we haven't even talked about yet. Okay, so now let's have another little activity for everybody. Look at these shortcuts, and I want you to give me a 10, meaning, oh, hell yeah, I remember them things. A 5, meaning I remember the first one or the second one. Or a 1, they look Chinese to me. And the reason I use Chinese is because that's with all them boxes and stuff. And I have no idea what that stuff means. Okay, most of you remember them. Okay, now we got a 7. We got somebody that can't follow directions. I'm just kidding. That's good. Okay, good. I don't see any 1s yet.
I'd actually never heard of the sum and difference of cubes until last semester.
Well, that's number 4 and 5. I don't call them all that stuff because that just takes up time. I just shortcut 1, shortcut 2, shortcut 3, shortcut 4, shortcut 5, and that's the way that I refer to them. Okay, so far it looks like no 1s. Usually I do get a 1 somewhere, but evidently y'all are all gifted. There we go. There we go. We got 1. Thank you for being honest, Luckner.
I'm in the middle of my calc class.
What?
That's the only class I have to actually go to.
Say again one more time. I'm sorry.
That person's talking to somebody else. Their mic is
Oh,
open.
she's talking to somebody else. Okay. All right. So there's your shortcut. So let's do an example of a multiplying shortcut. Now, the good thing about the shortcuts is they go this way. Well, let me do this in another color. Let me do this in a color that stands out like green, just light green. Right here, right here, right here, right here, right here are all multiplication. And I show people this and they don't even realize it. And I'll give another color and we'll use paint this way. The opposite way is factoring. That's factoring, that's division. So the shortcuts actually do both multiplication and division, depending on which way you're going. So let's take an example and let's review some of the shortcuts. So here's number 1. X plus 3 y squared. Well, that's shortcut number 1. It's got a plus. So that's going to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. Boom, that's it. How about x minus 7 quantity squared. That's shortcut number 2. That's x squared plus 14x plus 49. How about x plus 3 times x minus 3? That's shortcut number 3. And I'm multiplying, so I'm going the opposite way. That's x squared minus 9. How about x minus 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 4? That's equal to x minus 2 x squared, cubed, minus 2 cubed, which is x cubed minus 8.
Would Sutton mind muting their mic? It's making McClure's audio cut in and out.
Okay, mute your mics, please. I think I can do that on here, but I don't know. Turn off. No, I can't. I think I can do it somewhere, but I can't do it right now. I think they turned it off. Thank you. Just use the chat and use your microphone like raising your hand. Just use it whenever you need to. Okay? And I see somebody said negative 14x. Thank you. I suck. Who said that? Mr. O'Quinn, you're going to fail this class because I don't like you anymore. There you go. Negative 14x. Thank you. All right. So I'm looking to see if I've got any more mistakes. And if you have another one, that'll be x plus 4 times x squared minus 4x plus 16 is going to be x cubed minus 4 cubed, which is equal to x cubed minus 64. Plus, dang it. Okay. Now, if you're sitting there going, okay, yeah, I remember that, then you're good to go. If you're sitting there going, yeah, I did all those, that's fine, not a problem. If you're sitting there going, if you're drooling on yourself and don't know what's going on, then there might be a problem there. So you need to go back to the review, to the 109 or the 110 videos, or if you want me to go over some stuff with you, I'll be glad to. But we need to do that outside of class because you need to know how to do this. Same thing with factoring. You need to be able to remember if I have x squared minus 4x minus 12. You need to be able to use the reverse FOIL. First term, last term, 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. 1 and 12 will give you a 13 or an 11. 2 and 6 will give you an 8 or a 4. 3 and 4 will give you a 1 or a 7. I need a what? I need a 4, so I'm going to use 2 and 6. I need a negative 4, so that means the biggest number is negative. This means unlike. So therefore, this is negative. This is what? Positive. Now, when I show this, I get a bunch of people go, yeah, I really suck at that. So you can be truthful if you want to. If you want to air it out, you can. But I guarantee you there's somebody out there that says, I really do suck at this. Now, let me put, you want a real bad? Let me put a number in front of that x squared, and that will blow a fuse. Okay? Let's put a, and I don't know if I can do this in my head. I can't probably because those are a little bit more I'll tell you what I'll do though. Let me pull up one right quick. Give me a second. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go to my. That's why I love Google. Google has made teaching so much easier. Give me 1 second. Factoring, and I can't type worth of crap. Factoring, trinomial, a not equal 1. See if I can just pull one up right quick. Let me just get the image and just pull one up. Okay, 3x squared. No, yeah, 3x squared. I don't know if this will be decent or not. That's one thing about pulling them up. 3x squared plus 13x plus 12. So the first thing I'm going to do is break this up into two separate. I'm sorry. There we go. And like I said, if you don't suck at this one and you don't suck at this one, then chances are you're okay. So 1x right there, 3x right there. I know a 1 and a 12, a 2 and a 6 and a 3 and a 4. So I put 3 here and 4 here. The outside and the inside gives me the middle term. If I put a 3 here and a 4 here, they'll give me a 9x and a 4x. But there we go. We're cooking with peanut OIL now. And that's going to be positive. So the biggest number is 9. So that's going to be positive. That means like. So that's going to be positive. So our answer is x plus 3 times 3x plus 4. Now, if you can do those two problems, then you're good on the review. Some of you are probably going, I don't know, 4, 3. Some of y'all might be saying 4 and 3 on that one. So that's factoring. Well, how do you factor with a shortcut? You just make sure you know the shortcuts. So let's say you have x squared plus 4x plus 4. Well, that's shortcut number 1, because this is a perfect square and that's a perfect square, and this, the square of that times the square of that times 2 is equal to 4x. So your answer is x plus 2 quantity squared. That's shortcut number 1. Now again, when I go through this, you should be saying, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay. If you're saying, oh, where do you get the x? Then we need to work on it a little bit. Let's do x cubed minus 6x plus 9.
You mean cubed or squared?
X squared, sorry. Smart aleck. X squared, take the square root. Take the square root. 3 times 2 is 6 times x is 6x. So this is a shortcut. X minus 3 quantity squared. X squared minus 16 is equal to x plus 4, x minus 4. Shortcut number 3. I'm waiting so that way you can, I don't know how far you are behind. Let me ask you this, type it in. We got to have y'all active. We got to do something. Okay, let's go. How about factoring with the shortcuts? 10, meaning I remember. 5, meaning so-so. And 1, meaning I have no clue. Okay, we got an 8 and a 10, a 5, a 10. Okay, we're not good. Good, no 1s. So everybody's good. Everybody looks like they're good, just slower. That's good. Where are you, Mr. O'Quinn? I didn't see you. What'd you say? I didn't see you, Mr. O'Quinn. There he is, number 10. All right, so we good. Looks like everybody, this is feeling a little bit better now. Good. That means I'm doing my job. I need to quit. I need to start discouraging y'all, making y'all quit. All right, so let's do a nerd. Let's do x cubed minus 64. Well, that's shortcut number 5. Take the cube root here, x. Take the cube root here, 4. The cube root of 64 is not 8. That's where students mess up. And plug and chug. X minus 4 times x squared plus 4x plus 16. Shortcut number 5. X cubed plus 8. Now let's do x cubed plus 125. All right, y'all do that one. Shortcut number 4. So that's going to give us the cube root of x cubed is x. The cube root of 125 is 5. So that's going to be x plus 5 times x squared minus 5x plus 25. Okay, we just went over in about 20 or 30 minutes. We just went over multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, and factoring and multiplying with the shortcuts. So most of y'all feel pretty upbeat. So we need to knock that out of you. We need to get something to really screw with you. What do you think? Completing the square. This is where you're supposed to groan. Okay? So how do you do completing the square? Well, completing the square basically gives you, just like factoring does, it gives you your x-intercepts. Okay? If you have the square root of 0, you got 1 x-intercept. If you have the square root of a positive, that means you have 2 x-intercepts. If you have the square root of a negative, that means you have nan x-intercepts. This number under, or this symbol under the radical used to be called the radicand, but that's not sophisticated enough. That's dead. So now it's called, hold your pinky up, it's called the discriminant. So you used to call it the radicand. Now you call it the discriminant. Okay, the difference between the two is back in the day, the redneck days, the radicand was a number. And it basically meant the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. It had no meaning other than a numerical number or a numerical point. A discriminant, hold your pinky up, a discriminant is not, I don't even know how to spell it. A discriminant basically is not a number. It is telling you how many x-intercepts, how many solutions. All right. So if you have a square root of a 0, then you know you have one solution. And you could change that x-intercept to a solution. If you have a positive, you have 2 solutions. And if you have a negative, that means you have no solutions. Okay? Are these lectures posted so YouTube night of, so we can use them as class refresher for the, yes, sure, that's what I do. Where were you yesterday when I told you all this stuff? Or Tuesday? Or Monday? You were asleep, Miss Sterling? You probably were on drugs or something, weren't you? No comment. Writing, thus I need a refresher. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I will record it. Now, it does take longer for some reason. And did y'all see this yesterday? I'm gonna go back here. Let me bring this down. I'm gonna ask y'all something. Did y'all see this on Teams? If you go back to the team page, did y'all see? Well, I don't see it now. But yesterday, when I finished the recording, there was a recording on, the recording was on this page. Did anybody see that?
Yes,
Where is it now?
I don't know.
Now, does any of you know about Microsoft Stream? I think it's called. That's where these videos go. I don't use it, so I just take it off of Microsoft Stream and I put it on YouTube. So yesterday it was on here. I don't know where it went. I guess it disappeared. Let me look. I'll look one more time. Let me pull it up. No, it's not on there. But I know it came up yesterday. And I said, I like this. But I don't see it. I guess it just disappeared. The Russians. That's what it was. The Russians took it. The Russians have infiltrated my Teams account. Okay, we'll get back to what we were doing. Okay, so how do you complete the square? Well, first thing you got to realize is you're working with a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation, and we're going to get into that when we go into class tomorrow. The quadratic equation, basically you have a parabola that opens upward or opens downward, but it's in the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. That's the standard form of a quadratic equation. The reason that most algebra teachers, especially in college and calculus teachers, want you to use completing the square is because you're not dependent upon what? Anybody want to take a guess?
Calculators.
A formula.
A calculator. Because the quadratic formula is only used when you have decimals. But of course, your high school teachers didn't teach you that. Your high school teachers taught you to use the calculator whenever you could. Therefore, when you got out in the real world, you couldn't make change at the cash register. All right, so we don't use the quadratic formula unless quadratic formula is used for decimals. So if you get one like this, 2.21x squared plus 3.26x plus 3.7 is equal to 0. You take that quadratic formula and you knock yourself out, okay? Because that's what it's used for. Other than that, we're going to use quadratic. We're going to use completing the square. Because completing the square uses basic mathematics. You use basic mathematics to do quadratic formula. Okay. So let's do one, and so we can feel good about ourselves. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, if I did 10 questions with quadratic formula, I would show you, and that's why the Math 110, if you go to the Math 110, I'll show you this right quick also. Go to the Math 110 video. Oh, let me show y'all since you're asking. I hate when I get to this point because you can't get home because you're in the video editor. My computer's running really slow. For those of you that were wondering, I think Ms. Sterling, you asked, right up under my last name, hit playlist, and why do I have 2 Math 120? Why did it do that? There's yours right there. There's yesterday's video. Math 140, 2019-30. And I have 2. I'll have to figure out how to delete those. I'll have to go and, all right, anyway, go to the 110 right here. The 110 right here. And click on View Field Playlist. And if you'll look, right down here, you're going to see levels. Well, there we go. You see completing the square, and then you say completing the square levels 5 and 6, and then completing the square level 6, and then completing the square level 8 and 9. Does everybody see that? Okay, why is that? Because the way I show completing the square, and those are very important videos there, whenever I show completing the square, I start with a level 1 difficulty. I start with level 1 difficulty, which would be x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 0. And I go up to level 10. And that's 10 problems, 10 examples. And they're in those videos. Okay, I'm going to do a level 1 and I'm going to do a level 10. So here we go, level 1. First thing I do is I move C over. X squared plus 4x plus blank is equal to -4 plus blank. And I add blanks. Next, I take b divided by 2 and I square it. So that'd be 4 divided by 2 squared, which will equal 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. And I put that 4 there, and I put that 4 there. And what will that give me on the left-hand side always? Somebody tell me. You can use your microphone. On the left-hand side, when you do this right here, what will that give you? It'll give you shortcut number 1. You're good. Yes. I think that's what you were saying, right? Say it.
Shortcut number 1.
Or shortcut number 2, based on this sign. Shortcut number 1 or shortcut number 2. Now you see why you suck at algebra if you don't know those shortcuts? Because you're going to suck at completing square too. Perfect square. Good job, Mr. O'Quinn. So here we go. X plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 0. Now I can find my vertex. My vertex is equal to the opposite of this number, -2, and the opposite of this number, which is 0. If that was a positive 2, you'd put a -2. If this was a -4, you'd put a positive 4. But since it's 0, it's 0, and there's your vertex. Now we're going to solve for x. And that's going to give us x plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 0. Square root of both sides, x plus 2 is equal to 0. X is equal to -2. That's your x-intercept. So in this case, since we had 0 right here, let's take our handy dandy highlighter, what does 0 mean? The square root of 0 means that we have one x-intercept. We've got a y-intercept of +4. So completing the square gives us a graph with a y-intercept of 4 and an x-intercept of -2 and a vertex of -2 and 0, and it's positive, so it's opening upward. We know that the domain is all real numbers. We know that the range is from 0 to infinity. We know that the decreasing values is from -infinity to 0, to -2, and the increasing values are from -2 to infinity. Should everybody know what I'm doing here? Yes. Everybody should be above a 7 on this problem that I just did. Let's take a survey. 10, 5, or 1? Oh, we got an 11. We got 11 people. Okay, some of y'all had some good teachers. Good. Good. Good, good, good. Now, how come y'all know this, but y'all suck at the other stuff? Oh well. All right, my job is to discourage you, so let's do it. Let's do a level 10. I'll tell you what. Let's do a level 5, just so I don't put you into shock. Okay. Let's do a level 5. Let's do -2x squared plus 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now, those of you that think you know how to do it, or those of you that want to do it, go ahead and take a minute and work it. I'm going to pause the recording so there's not a lag there. Why can't I pause it? I can't pause the recording? Well, that sucks. Huh. Oh well, I'll just let it wind down. I guess they did away in Skype for Business. You could pause the recording. Damn Russians. All right, go ahead and do it. Oh, let's see, what time is it? It is 4:12. I'm gonna give y'all 2 or 3 minutes to do it. I want to get to rationalizing the denominator before we get done, but I don't know if I'll make it or not. Oh my gosh, I've got 2 or 3 people adding. Heck, oh. Oh, I just got an email back about the e-text problems. And one of the things you might want to try is clearing your cache and cookies, and then going back into Google Chrome and pulling up. So that's one thing you might want to do. Miss Sutton, are you there? Dang, Miss Sutton got kicked out. Hold on. And I have found out that the kicking out of people is usually due. Miss Sutton, are you there? It looks like you're still here. Miss Sutton, are you there? She's not there. I'm going to remove her and bring her back in. Now I'm going to bring her back in and see if she'll. Sutton. Yes. Maybe that'll bring her back in. Miss Sutton, are you there? Says she's leaving again. Something's wrong with her. Something must be wrong with her wireless or something. I'm talking to myself. I know y'all are working. I'll try it one more time. She'll have to watch the video. Miss Sutton, are you there? Hello, Miss Sutton. Miss Sutton, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm at work.
Okay. Well, just do the best you can. And remember, you can watch the video. All right. Here we go. We're going to factor out. First of all, we're going to move 2x squared plus 3x. I'm sorry, that's not supposed to be a square. Minus plus blank is equal to 6 plus blank. And I'm going to factor out a 2, negative 2. And that's going to give me minus 3 halves plus blank is equal to 6 plus negative 2 times blank. Take 3 halves, divide by 2 over 1 and square it, which is equal to 3 halves multiplied by 1 half and square it. 3/4 squared is what? 9/16. Negative 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to, that's 6. We'll take that 16 to an 8, and that's going to be 9/8 and 56. Let's see, 50. What is 6 times 8? 48. So that's going to be 48/8. And that's going to be negative 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 48 minus 9 is 39. 39 over 8. And now we've got a vertex of 3/4, comma, negative 39/8. We'll worry about those decimals in a minute. That's our vertex. And we're going to solve it on the next page. I'll put this back over in just a second. So now we've got negative 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 39 over 8. Divide by negative 2 over 1. Divide by negative 2 over 1, which means you're going to multiply by negative 1 over 2, which is x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to negative 39/16. And what's wrong with that answer? You can't take the square root of what?
Negative.
You can't take the square root of a negative. I got a negative discriminant, which means no x-intercept. So that means I've got to get it in terms of I. So x minus 3/4 quantity squared, or I'm not quantity squared, is equal to I square root of 39 over 6/4, and I don't really care about that. And x is equal to 3 plus or minus I square root of 39 over 4. And that answer goes with this answer. So that means we've got a parabola. We know that the y-intercept is -6. We know that our vertex is 3/4 to the right, and 8 will go into 39 4 times, -4 something, 4 3/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we know since it's negative right here, that means it's opening which way? It's opening downward. So now we've got a domain of all real numbers, a range -infinity to -39/8. And then we've got increasing from -infinity to 3/4 and decreasing from 3/4 to infinity. Okay, survey time. 1, 5, or 10. We might see a decrease in the average here. There's our 1. Okay, some of y'all are downright lying. That's okay. We got a 4. Okay, that's good. Since some of y'all are lying to me, we'll go ahead and do one more at level 10. Oh, that hurt me. That hurt your head? All right, let's do a level 10. -2/3 x squared minus 1/3 x minus 3/5 is equal to 0. All right, I'll give you a couple of minutes on this one. I don't think I'm gonna get to rationalizing. So we'll just say bump it and we'll just start the next class with rationalizing. Because I've got to go over next class, I've got to go over rationalizing functions and vertical and horizontal shifts, which we're doing right now, but you got to see it on the graph. So how'd that hurt? Did that hurt your head, Luckner? Yeah, it hurt his head. They can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a little while.
Well, I would say probably 2/3 of you probably are truthful, but some of y'all are downright lying. Not many people walk around knowing how to do a level 5 complete and square. Okay? Much less a level 10. But maybe y'all are gifted and talented. Maybe that's it. Is there much of a delay on my drawing versus when I say the number?
No, sir.
No.
Good. It works real good. And plus, Teams is a whole lot better as far as the delay goes. I still don't understand why they don't have a pause recording. thought anything that you record on would have a pause. I'm going to go ahead and move C for you. Negative 2/3 x squared minus 1/3 x plus blank is equal to 3/5 plus blank. I'll do that much for you. I'll help you out by doing that much. Did y'all get 1/2 x? I guess that's it's a business program. That's smart. So did y'all get 1/2 for your middle term? We haven't done completing the square yet. We just got it to where you can do completing the square. 1/2 divided by 2/1 and squared is equal to 1/2 times 1/2 squared, which is equal to 1/4 squared, which is equal to 1/16. And that's going to give you negative 2/3 times x plus 1/4 quantity squared. And I don't think I'm going to be able to cancel anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and write it out. 3/5 minus 2/48, which is 1/24. Y'all check me. Somebody tell me. I'll give a 2 for this. Now we're starting to, okay, now we're starting to get a little bit, okay, here we go. I'm already going to say 0 for this. Now, you know why people are saying 0 and 1 on this? Because your teachers in the past didn't make you work with what? Didn't make you work with fractions. They told you to do them where?
Whole numbers.
They told you to use whole numbers, or they told you to use a calculator because you don't have enough brains, or they don't have enough brains to use fractions. And that's why we got people at cash registers that don't know how to make change. So we're going to keep on going. So now I'm going to go over to the next page. I'm going to copy it over for you. So that's negative 2/3 x plus 1/4 squared equals 3/5 minus 1/24. Now, while y'all are writing, I'm going to put that back there in case somebody needs it. And you can always hit the pause button on the video, you know, when you're watching it at home. And I may have made a mistake, but I don't think I did. But we'll find out in a minute if I did, because the points won't line up. Luckner, you going to the hospital? Okay. Well, you have a good stay at the hospital, all right? Okay, so negative 2/3 x plus 1/4 is equal to, got to have a common denominator. So we'll go over here, 5 and 24. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and sometimes 13. So 2 will go in, won't go, that's 5, 12, 2, 5, 6, 2, 5, 3, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1, 1. I guarantee you somebody out there has never seen this before. So that's 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 3 is 120. So 5 will go into 120, 24 times. 24 times 3 is 72. Somebody check me. And then 24 is 8 times 3. 5 times 1 is 5. So that's negative 2/3 times x plus 1/4 quantity squared is equal to 72 minus 5 is dang old 67. Somebody check me. 67 over 100, 20. Now I'm going to get a vertex of negative 1/4 and negative 67 over 120, which is close to a half. Negative 67 over 120, you can do that on your calculator. And now I'm going to multiply, that means I don't have a negative, I have a negative, so that means I'm going to have x plus 1/4 quantity squared is equal to negative, let's see, divide by 2/3, that means I multiply by negative 3/2. So 3 will go into 120, 40, so that's going to give me negative 67 over 80, which means no x-intercepts. So I'm going to get an I. So that's going to be x plus 1/4 is equal to, let's see, that's I 67 over 80. Well, no, I can take the square root of 80, but I'm going to leave that like that. So that's going to be x is equal to I 67 over 80 minus 1 over 4. Now you could break that 80 up into 4 times 20 and then 16 times 4 or 5. 16 times 5. Somebody check me on 16 times 5. And that would be, yeah, you're still going to have a mess right here. But I'm not worried about it because that's not an x-intercept. So I have a graph with a y-intercept of negative 3/5. So negative 3/5 is like about 0.015. 0.015 is right there. We have a vertex of negative 1/4 and negative 67, blah, blah, blah. So it'd be down here somewhere. So it looks like this. And of course, domain is all reals. Range is negative infinity to negative 67/20 or 1/20. Increasing from negative infinity to negative 1/4. Decreasing from 1/4, negative 1/4 to infinity. Now let's take our survey again. 1, 5, and 10. Be truthful. I got a smile, a frowny face. Okay, sounds like to me that some of y'all fractions still suck. Well, so does something else. You know what else sucks? Starts with an L. Anybody want to say what it is? Life. So you got to get used to it. All right. That's the first part of the review. The second part of the review, we're going to be talking about these three things. We're going to be talking about rationalizing the denominator, we're going to be talking about functions, but we're going to be talking about functions as advanced. Okay, getting into domain and range and all that. And we're going to be talking about graphs, vertical, horizontal shifts, the family of graphs, which you can get a jump on it if you watch the 110 videos, you know, before completing the square or after. I think it's before. Yeah, it's before completing the square. And there's one other thing I want to go over, and it's leaving me right now, but we're gonna go over some. Oh, the difference quotient. Okay, so that's what we're going to go over tomorrow. And I want to spend these first 3 days going over review. So that means Thursday we got some more reviewing to do, and I might do the logarithms then, and the inverse functions and the logarithms. Okay, time for y'all to speak. Y'all can speak now. Open your mics up and let me know if, you know, you're okay, or I know we got one going to the hospital.
I mean, give it time. The day's not over.
Mr. Luckner, don't spaz, all right? It ain't that bad. I will tell you this: completing the square, reverse FOIL is pretty much the two worst things for students. Okay, so it's not that bad.
Is the level 10 stuff, is that going to be like on the test, or?
Well, that's what calculus is made up of.
All right.
That told us literally nothing.
I mean, honestly, it is. If I give you, and I'm just going to show you a quick example. Okay, if I give you the difference quotient, and this is the first part of calculus, and I say f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 3. And I want you to do the difference quotient, which basically is the slope. And the slope is f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And that means that you're going to take this guy right here, and you're going to do x plus h quantity squared plus 2 times x plus h plus 3 minus f of x, which is x squared plus 2x plus 3 over h. And then I take this is shortcut number, well, 1, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 2x plus 2h plus 3 minus x squared minus 2x minus 3 all over h. And that x squared cancels with that x squared, and that negative 2x cancels with that 2x, and that 3 cancels with that 3, and you're left with 2xh plus h squared plus 2x over h. Okay, you've just done a calculus problem, but what is this calculus problem made up of?
Algebra.
Algebra. And see, that's what happens to students. And I'm not going to ask anybody to volunteer this information, But I guarantee you there's a student out there right now, out of our 30 students or however many students are on right now, that's had calc before and had a very bad experience or failed it or withdrew from it. And the reason they withdrew from it is not because of the calculus. It's because they look at this right here and go, what did you do? That's why. Okay. So, and you have to keep you have to keep on your toes with it, because you could take and make an A in calculus 1 and go to calculus 2 and have a yucky teacher, and it goes back to crap. So anyway, that's to answer your question. Yes, you're going to be tested on the review, but it's going to be in the calculus questions. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? So right now, what should you be doing? Right now, you should be watching those videos on 110. You should be working on the homework questions in the reviews. I think there's 2 sections, right?
3 or 4.
Working on those. Now, I can tell you right now that I have not covered all that gum fly. I have not covered all of those. I'm trying to find y'all's. Okay, is it not on here? I thought I pulled up y'all's. There it is. Let's see. Assignments. It looks like, and I know time's up. What time's class over? 4:35? I know I'm gone over.
425.
Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all need to speak up. There's the 2 sections. Y'all need to be working on those 2 sections and watching those videos in 110. Okay? After tomorrow, we should have these 2 covered. All right, I'm going to shut off the recording. And anybody want to stick around, you're welcome to stick around.